Hello folks, here we are today with the Subaru Solterra. Now this is a car that was co-developed between Toyota and Subaru, so it's very similar to the Toyota BZ4X. Subaru basically brought their knowledge of four-wheel drive and chassis control etc. to the party, and Toyota dealt with much of the rest as far as I'm aware. Battery capacity on this one 71.4 kilowatt hours. It's a lithium ion battery. You've got 257 miles of range in this particular one. This is the touring model. If you go for the limited, you've got to claim 289 miles of range. 90% of the battery should still be available after 10 years. That's sort of the target for this. It seems quite ambitious, but certainly they've designed it for that long-lasting battery, which means these things may not be assigned to the scrap heap quite as quickly as some of their rivals. 218 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 in 6.9 seconds, 336 newton meters of torque, and 750 kilos is the towing capacity. Car weighs about 2 tons. You've got two trim levels available, just the Touring and the Limited. This one is the Touring, as I said. Both get 150 kilowatt DC charging, heat pump, surround view parking, X mode with hill descent control. Now this touring model gets things like 20-inch alloys, wireless phone charging, got leather interior or faux leather interior, you've got glass roof, premium audio system, so it's really very well spec'd. Both cars get Euro Ncap 5 stars, and this has also got things like it will actually watch the driver to see if you're looking away, not paying attention, and it will alert you to that. All those things can of course be disengaged if you find them annoying. So the interior design is very sensible and very usable. You've got this sort of fabric trim up here. There is a lot of piano black, which I'm not a massive fan of. You'll see it becomes a little bit of a magnet for fingerprints and tiny scratches, and I don't think it's going to age very well, so that's a little bit of a disappointment. Otherwise, all the materials are really good quality, very well screwed together, and it feels nice and robust in here. The steering wheel's got tons of controls. It's perhaps a tiny bit busy, but it is very comfortable. This large infotainment system is a bit of a triumph if you compare it to what used to come in Toyota vehicles, and certainly what used to come in Subaru vehicles. This is a big step up. It's a fantastic system. You've got plenty of screen real estate. I've got Apple CarPlay on here at the moment, and it looks fantastic. If we go back to the standard factory system, it's very good, very simple to use. It feels like it deserves a little tip of the hat to the Tesla system in some ways, certainly in terms of the way it looks, but it's a simple, effective system which a lot of other manufacturers could learn something from. Volkswagen. I should add that Apple CarPlay is wirelessly connected at the moment, by the way. Under here in this touring model, we've got wireless charging pad, very simple little selector here for the gears, no issues with that whatsoever, and everything's laid out in a fairly sort of common sense fashion. Now, one thing I don't like about this interior is the height of the floor. It's quite odd and difficult to describe until you've actually sat in the car, but the floor is too high, and that's simply because the batteries are underneath. Obviously I've been in other EVs that have suffered the same issue, but this is probably the one that it's most noticeable on out of everything that I've driven. It just feels a bit unnatural for the first few days when you're getting in and out of the vehicle especially, and you feel like you're sitting on the car rather than in the car, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Another thing that could be better is up here you've got a driver information display. It sort of sits somewhere between a head-up display and a standard display just because of the positioning of it. It's actually quite good in that regard because you don't have to take your eyes too far off the road while you're driving along. However, depending on your steering wheel position, you can block quite a lot of that information off with the steering wheel, and this plastic round here, the whole sort of trim that goes up to it, feels like a little bit of an afterthought and doesn't feel like an amazing bit of design, and certainly the quality of that is quite hard, sort of fairly naff plastic if we're being honest. So in the center console here we do have a little cubby, but finding the lever to actually open it is a bit of a task. It's not particularly generous, but it's okay. And then you move this forward and it covers over the cup holders. It's actually quite a nice bit of design, and it's really comfortable on your elbow, and it feels incredibly solid. A lot of cars you get into, you stick your elbow on there and it starts to creak and moan. This one does not have a creak or moan in it. So boot space, folks, we've got 441 litres in this one. You've also got some storage space under there to put your cables. The boot's actually a really good shape and goes back far enough, but it lacks a bit of depth, unfortunately. 441 litres in this. I think in the entry-level model it's 452 litres. It really should be 500 plus in a car of this size, in my personal opinion. The load cover's really simple to use, nice and easy to get out of the way. You've got some hooks here. It's nicely appointed, but for me, it would have been far better had it been a little bit deeper. So in the back here, you immediately feel the benefit of this big glass roof, because with that closed, it is a bit dark in here because every material is very dark. Nice, comfortable seats. The middle seat is quite usable by an adult. You can get 3 abreast in the back here without too many issues. You've got big pockets on the back of the seats. You've got a USB-C here, a USB-C here, and heated seat controls for the back. So quite nice. The only issue, once again, is the fact the floor feels too high, and it feels like you're lacking a bit of foot room under that seat in front. It does feel like a little bit of a letdown, and that floor height is certainly a bit of a compromise with this car. So what's the Solterra like to drive? Well, firstly, it's really refined. It's very quiet in here. You can probably hear a faint murmur from the aircon at the moment because it's a really hot day. But aside from that, you get a tiny bit of tyre noise. The cabin's really well insulated. You hear next to no traffic noise. Really refined, really nice and comfortable, despite the fact that it's a heavy car. You know, it's about 2 tons. You don't feel anything other than the real sort of divots in the road. You go over little bumps very, very smoothly. The steering's nice. Now, this being a modern Subaru stroke Toyota, both brands that are famed now really primarily for producing very sensible cars, this is actually great fun to drive. There are quicker cars available, you know, the 0 to 62 times just under 7 seconds, so it's not setting the world on fire in that regard. But especially for an EV, this thing's very good fun in the twisty stuff. I don't think it's supposed to be, it just is. I'm sure the designers at Subaru and Toyota didn't sit there thinking we must make this car massively engaging on B roads, and certainly it's no match for a sports car by any means, but it's actually much more fun on that twisty stuff than you may have imagined, and it certainly offers a level of engagement when you're driving that you wouldn't expect of this car, particularly not of an EV. So I touched on the official range figure for this touring model earlier. It's just over 250 miles, which is respectable, but probably should be better on a car costing 53 grand, if I'm being completely honest. Unfortunately, I'm unable to test this today, but there are lots of reports that the car really struggles in cold weather because of the battery chemistry, I guess. It's something that I've come across in some EVs to be a far bigger issue than in others, and from what I understand, it is a bit of an issue in this one, but I've only got anecdotal evidence. As you can see, the weather's pretty glorious at the moment. I haven't been able to test that this week. Around town in this, I've been getting around about 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, so you can draw your own conclusions there. I haven't really had the chance to take it on a really long drive to see what it's like at motorway speed, but I would guess that figure would take a little bit of a hit. Something else just to be aware of in this car is, although it's capable of 150 kilowatt charging, if you've got a wall box at home, it can only do 7 kilowatts. So if you've got a 3-phase supply at home, you know, a lot of cars will be able to charge at a higher rate. This will only charge at 7 kilowatts, just something to be aware of. So part of the reason Subaru would have been invited to this particular party by Toyota, if it worked that way round, which I guess it did, will be the fact that they've got such a pedigree when it comes to off-road vehicles and 4x4 performance. This car's got 210 mil of ground clearance. And it does have that famous Subaru X mode. So you can do some mild off-roading in this vehicle if you choose. I can't imagine too many people buying one of these are going to be using it for off-roading, but hopefully it plays to that current Subaru audience. People that perhaps live on farms, live in the country a bit, and they want something that's not going to leave them completely stuck if there's a bit of snow or particularly bad weather conditions. So hopefully this car won't be too much of a disappointment for those lifelong Subaru fans. But really, getting back to that driving experience, you can't really fault it. I really haven't got anything bad to say about the way it drives. You know, this car is not without its flaws, but the way it drives is not really one of them. It's a nice thing to sit behind the wheel of. So really folks, the Solterra is a fantastic car to drive, but you have to look at the price point. This one's £53,000, which is almost bang on the same price as a Tesla Model Y long range. It's a tough one. You've also got competition from things like the Ncap, the Polestar 2. This car at this price point has a lot of serious competition, and it does have some compromises. So it's a very, very nice car to drive, and I would recommend anyone go and try one out, but give it some thought. If you are interested in leasing a Subaru Solterra or indeed a Toyota BZ4X, there are links to Lease Loco for both of those cars below that will take you directly to deals for those cars at the time you click the link. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and please give the video a thumbs up. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye bye.